If it's first, game the breaks, no games, you know it up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, two games after this win it. First cheating game, we're here for the first May. Can everybody keep it up 6 minutes?
Just look around. You got the mountains, you got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. You know, the old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
It's, you know, here it's Tennessee, so, you know, we're going to get the best guys here. You know, that's just every year. Every time we're out there, it's competition. You know, nobody has a spot, nobody's comfortable. We're all working to get better.
Like I said, like we play with a chip on our shoulder at Tennessee. So, you know, we get a lot of disrespect. So we want to make it clear that we're going to come out and dominate day in and day out.
We've got to raise the bar, and we've got to continue to raise the bar. I don't think any of those young men, when they signed to come to Tennessee, they signed to say they wanted to come and be a part of a 7-6 program. All right, they said they wanted to come and compete for championships, SEC championships, national championships. I know that's what I want. I know that's what Tennessee wants. I know that's what the expectation is. So we've got to continue to reassess everything that we're doing and make sure that we're continuing to move the needle in the right direction.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley, joined by the one and only Coach Jay. Dauber's in the house. Captain D is here. We're going to break down Tennessee versus Vanderbilt. Look, you got to put that little asterisk out there, right? You got to let everybody know. I understand. It's little brother. It's Vanderbilt. Tennessee still had 600 yards of total offense. Made a couple of mistakes. We got to see Nico. Joe Milton Appreciation Night starts now. I see you guys in the chat. I see you guys starting early in the chat about Joe Milton and, oh, he only had success because it's Vanderbilt. That's right. We all know that. We all understand that. But we got to send Joe out on a positive note. Hopefully, he hands the keys to the castle over to one Nico Iamaleava going into the bowl game. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break down. We're going to discuss it all coming up in just a second. But, guys, do us a favor. Smash the thumbs up. Share this out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you get social with your media, because hashtag Boogie is banned is a thing. I can't promote the show on Facebook, so we need you guys to grow the chat. Make sure you share it out. We would greatly appreciate it. The schedule moving forward, just so you know, we're going to do the post-game show tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to drop a video bright and early. Sunday night, just like always, fan call-in show. You guys are going to have an opportunity to come on and hang out. And then Monday morning, myself, Eric Kane, live at 9 a.m. So business as usual moving forward until Boogie's ban is lifted. Hashtag free Boogie. Coach Jay, opening thoughts on Tennessee's 48-24 win over Vanderbilt.
Opening thoughts are, we did what we were supposed to do against Vanderbilt. You're supposed to go out there and beat Vanderbilt. I still thought at times we just kind of played a little soft off the gun on defense, maybe a little too soft in the secondary times. I also thought it was kind of obvious what Vanderbilt was doing from an offensive standpoint. So wasn't necessarily happy with the way the defense played. Happy to see Joe play better. I still feel like he left a lot of things out on the field. And of course, Nico.
Dustin, what were your opening thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, the world is right again. This is what we expected. This is what we needed. If nothing else, send the seniors off in a good way. A lot of these kids could have jumped ship last season or the season before. So it's good to see them, end on a positive note. Not going to lie, I teared up a little bit when Joe got that last touchdown because, it's hard being a quarterback at Tennessee or any big university. So he's had a lot of pressure on the guy. So it was good to see him go out like that. And overall, yeah, it wasn't perfect, but overall, it was a pretty fun game to watch, except for the first, 15, 20 minutes.
Listen, it was Vanderbilt. We did what we had to do, what we're supposed to do, took care of business, finished up the regular season 8-4. It is not where a lot of people anticipated us to be. A game off from where I had had us pegged in at the beginning of the season, but it's a rivalry game. Look across college football today at the whole landscape of what happened. Marginal Kentucky team beat Louisville. Auburn gave Alabama everything they wanted. You saw the chippiness in a rivalry game, and we didn't let that get to us. Stayed within ourselves, played pretty well on both sides. Yes, it was Vanderbilt, but you still got to get out there and play, and you got to take care of business, and that happened. Was pretty pleased with some of the names that did not participate in senior day, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit. Just to end it and sum it up, got some momentum moving into bowl season, get some extra practices in, and carry that into 2024.
Let me hit some super chats real quick. We'll see what you guys have to say right out of the gate here after the win over Vanderbilt. Paul Lindsay for 5 says, Boogie, are you ready? Smash it, boys and girls. Let's roll. Let's see Nico. That came in at 6:40. That came in over almost an hour ago. Thank you, Paul, for the super chat. A little spooky for 2 says, little brother just got littler. GBO. Yeah, there's a little chippiness in tonight's game. We'll get into that. We can talk about it. By the way, let me prepare you guys before we get into it. Anybody know what officiating crew that was out there tonight? Anybody familiar with what officiating crew that was? That would be the one that called the Alabama game. Oh. So, sound familiar? And look, they were awful. We'll get into it. Scotty Hurley for 5. Perfect way to end the season. Thank you, Joe. Can't wait for Gator Bowl in the 2024 season. Nico operates so much faster, and ceiling is through the roof. I'll just go ahead and spoil it now. We were kind of laughing before we went live. Derek Mason said on air, like just kind of slip of the tongue, said it was so off. It was just like off the cuff. Man, the offense, it just seems like they operate more comfortably and it's like, and then he stopped, and then he was like, well, he's had some mop up time, the third down anyway coming up here. That tells you all you need to know. Billy Todd for 2 says, Dorothy, thanks for this channel, Boogie. Thank you, Billy. This channel doesn't exist without you guys, so thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. T-Bird Sign Shop becomes a member of the channel, probably renewing. We appreciate that. Super Nerd Hoyt for $20. That is not cheap. Says, solid end to the regular season. Appreciate the channel and the community. GBO. Thank you, Super Nerd Hoyt. $20 is not cheap. It's very generous. We appreciate it. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to be covering recruiting. We're going to be covering the transfer portal, all kinds of fun stuff. The film breakdown series is coming back. We're going to be doing some live film breakdowns. We're going to be doing live recruiting shows. throughout the months moving forward. So stay tuned for that. Don't pack it up and say, hey, I'll be back. I'll see you guys next September. We got tons of content coming your way. Jackie Pickle for 5 says Joe was awesome, but I really wanted to see more of Nico. Go Big Orange. Shane C for $20. Again, that is not cheap. We appreciate that. This year was about awarding those that hung around and to add to the culture. It is about having these players rallying around each other. The future is bright. That's a good point, Shane. See, it does speak something to loyalty to the culture. And again, going back to Joe Milton, man, I'm with Dustin. I loved him getting that touchdown. First player to account for 6 touchdowns since Jonathan Crompton in 2009, I think they said on the broadcast. Finished the day 22 of 32, 383 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air, 5 carries, 11 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Just a perfect senior night. And I was glad to hear while we were doing the tailgate show that he got a nice reaction from the crowd on the way out through the tee for that last time. I've said it all week long. I've said it multiple times the last couple of weeks. Joe chose Tennessee, and he chose Tennessee twice. So on the flip side of that, if Coach Jay came on here every day and said sunshine and rainbows, Joe's the man, that's not what we're about. We're going to be true. We're going to give our true opinions. That's what this channel is all about. But at the same time, you appreciate Joe and giving us all. Like sometimes your all is not Heisman Trophy candidate worthy. Sometimes your all is not winning 10 games. Sometimes your all isn't good enough. But like Dustin said, you're the quarterback at the University of Tennessee. We're going to critique you and give our opinions. What'd you think of Joe Milton's final regular season outing, Coach?
Yeah, I hear the chat and they're giving me a little razz saying he left a couple plays out on the field. Hey, look, I'm going to do that to Nico next year. I promise. Even when he looks good, I did it to Hendon the year before. I will always bring up the plays that people left out on the field. It's just kind of my nature as a person, and I'm going to always stick to it. Look, with that said, I thought Joe played his most consistent game throughout. Did he have a couple balls get away from him? Yeah. Did he miss a couple reads? Yeah. But he made his reads at a very high tick in this game, and he was on time and on target at a high enough tick into this game to have an extreme amount of success in that game. And I would be blind, or anyone would be blind, foolish, or lying to you if they said otherwise. Joe played well tonight. Yeah, I get the competition and all the things that kind of come with that. But I thought he read the defensive line really well on his keeps as well. It wasn't just so much, was it design or not design? You could tell they were true reads. They were true zone read, option reads. So really nice. When Joe's reading that well, everything seems to work better for him. I think the plays I was most irritated with is he had 1 or 2 scrambles where he had wide open receivers off the scramble and he didn't quite catch them on it. Immediately coming to mind is the one where he scrambled late, tried to throw the ball deep to Keaton. He was in double coverage. Squirrel was right underneath for about a 15-yard gain. So those things are going to eat Coach Jay, and he's always going to bring it up. But let me just dispel all the rumors. I thought Joe played a great game. And happy for him. Like I said before, I would have been mad if anyone booed him. The guy gave it all for Tennessee. Whether I think that was enough to be elite at Tennessee or not doesn't really matter. Whenever you go out there and give everything you got for this university, I'm going to be damn proud of you, and I'm going to get your back as much as possible.
Yeah, you could very easily say, oh, where was this at the Florida game? Where was this, at the second half of Alabama game? But, like you said, there's always going to be plays out there. But like you said, this looked like, and, I think all of us have tried to, figure out what Joe is and what Joe isn't from the start, right? There's so much there, and when there's so much want to from the fans, and obviously he wants to succeed. But, he strikes me as somebody that I don't know if I want to call him that. I don't know if I want to say that he's not a gamer necessarily, but I think a lot of it is before the game starts. I think it's a lot of mental stuff. It's you can just kind of see it in his body language with the confidence, and whether that's there or not. If he's a little unsure, the game goes kind of south pretty quickly. But again, trying to stay positive. I mean, you couldn't have really gone out on a better note. nobody's a bigger fan of any player than us guys right here. So we want every player to succeed. And when things are disappointing, when you're steering the ship, right, you're going to be the first one that's thrown under the bus, so to speak. But he's been a true Vol. He stuck with this. He could have very easily left the program, but not a better way for him to end out, Dauber. And it's just nice to see what's on the horizon too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a combination of things, and there's been criticism of Joe all season. But you look back at stats of the 4 games we've lost, we didn't run the ball. And for Joe to succeed, I think that running game has to be kicking into gear and getting it. And because that allows him to play loose, and he doesn't have to make reads quite as quick. It's not all on his shoulders. And when he has time, when he is able to see the field, he's got talent. I think that's where he lacked a little bit. And you saw earlier in the year there were some drops. There are a couple drops tonight, but all in all, to end up the season this way, account for 6 touchdowns. What a way to end out the regular season. Like I said, now we're looking to carry that momentum into the bowl game and then build to 2024, and hopefully, whoever we draw, wherever we draw, it's a beatdown in the bowl game. Joe's, packed it in early, and you got Nico out there balling out the second half of the bowl game, and you're not just looking into 2024, you're cruising right into 2024 with a full steam of momentum.
Dustin, do you think he packs it in? Do you think Joe packs it in? Do you think he opts out? Do you think it's a conversation where Josh Heupel says this is what you need to do for us and for yourself?
I had that in my question marks under Joe. It says Joe Milton ? Bowl game. I hope that he considers his options, whatever's best for him, whatever's best for the program. I think it might actually depend on who we play and how much we need him, so to speak. I know that's kind of coach talk, but I don't know. I think time will tell. I think we'll know more in the next couple of weeks when, we already kind of teased it a little bit with the transfer portal. Who knows what changes between now and then. And one thing I was going to toss back up to you, Boogie, was even with the makeshift offensive line, seemed like he had a couple extra seconds tonight.
Joe?
Yes, to throw.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, at one point I had it in my notes here, scrolling up what that offensive line looked like at one point. After Cooper went down, you had Jeremiah Crawford at left tackle, Addison Nichols at guard, Ollie Lane at center, Lampley at right guard, and Dane Davis at right tackle. And again, competition, right? You're playing Vanderbilt; they're terrible. Joe did have time, man. He had time, and not to spin it to Nico, but I'm going to spin it to Nico. He showed us once again why I get so excited about Nico, his pocket awareness, his escapability. Oh, and by the way, he's too small. He's too skinny. How about on that 2nd and 3 when he's like, nope. I'm not insulting Joe. I'm not attacking Joe tonight. I'm not. But do we want to go back and talk about the speed option where it was like, oh, I'm about to get hit. I'm going to let you take the hit, right? Whereas Nico's like, no, I'm going to go get this. Like, he could have pitched it. He's like, no, I'm going to play physically. He broke a tackle, and he picked up a first down when the game was over. Like, you didn't have to do that. Like, it's Vanderbilt. The game's over. I like the physicality from Nico, but I think the offensive line, I've said this multiple times, I think Josh Heupel's offense will mask insuperior. Is insuperior a word? If it's not, I just made it up. Offensive line play. I think he masks it.
How about inferior?
Yeah.
What did I say? Insuperior? Can we make insuperior a word right now?
Inferior.
I want to say insuperior. Is that not a word?
I want to
Google it.
It is now. And like we said before the show started, Coach, it's like, I know it's mop up duty. I know it's Vanderbilt, but He marched down the field both times, just kind of side to side. It didn't look like it was too much of a struggle for you. What did you pick up most from his short time tonight?
Just the tempo seemed to be different. Like I was kind of saying in the back, even and I get they were slowing it down on times it perfectly, but when it was time to go, it was look left, look right, snap. And that's what I want to look at. And someone did ask me, what were you looking for with Joe? Someone asked me, I think 2 weeks ago, what were you looking for with Joe? Like, what's this pre-snap thing? What should I be looking for? And that's what I'm looking for. Once you know the play, I don't want to see you. I want to see boom, boom. All right, I know what I'm doing, right? You're there, go. Right. And Nico picked that up really quick. Obviously, I love the pace he moves at. Of course, I had the note about him playing strong. There's just something about Nico. He's dense for the amount of weight he has. I don't know how else to put that. He's just a really strong, whatever weight he's going to be. He just got a lot of that kind of natural strength in him. He ran people over all the time in high school. And hey, I know it's high school, but for a quarterback at any level, really to be able to truck people over and over again, it kind of gets your attention, especially when they're a more wiry kid like Nico. But I mean, really, I thought the ball slid out of his hand once. I think we all saw that play, right? Slipped out of his hand. I thought 2 receivers dropped the ball twice. And other than that, he was 9 of 11, with those being his 3 incompletions. And like you said, Dustin, you just see how quickly he can move a ball downfield. And I'll tell you what, the best thing, in my opinion, I alluded to it last week, Nico's strongest thing he does is he has a beautiful, beautiful seam route deep ball, a beautiful, beautiful on time, well led, beautiful deep seam route ball. And I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Hype was keeping that one under his hat a little bit.
Talking about the seam, something that I like. All right, I gotta call somebody. Somebody's got a gurgling microphone. What's your mic, Dustin? Is it Dustin?
I don't think so. It's just the laptop.
I don't know what the noise is. It's about to drive me. I hear it right there. It sounds like we're in a submarine.
Is it your chair?
My chair? No. Now it's gone. Now it's back.
There was it.
Something might be vibrating on your microphone. It sounds like almost like it's
me
touching. Yeah, maybe like touching the pop screen. Maybe.
I don't think it's me.
Hold on, I'll mute.
Okay, let's see if it's Coach Jay. I hope it's Coach Jay and we can yell at him, get things cleared up around here. Clearly, it's the California kid. It's fixed now. Let's kick him off the show. I'm sorry. I just drives me absolutely insane. Somebody said it sounded like somebody touching their mic. All right, it's not me, Sports Manager. It's gone now. Coach Jay. It's Coach Jay. It's all Coach Jay. Let's go back. All right. Talking about seam routes, right? I liked – there was one little play that I liked where they kind of faked the quarterback draw, and I think it was Jacob Warren that they ran up the seam. The tight ends got way more involved tonight, and that's something that I've been asking for a long time. I'm like, why not get the tight ends more involved? McAllen Castle's a guy that's shown a ton of athleticism. I think Jacob Warren is a solid tight end too. Tonight they both had 3 catches. Both had a touchdown. Man, and it was nice to see that. Nice to see the tight ends getting involved, and again, up the seam there. Like, I feel like they don't attack the middle of the field enough. And when you're running the football good, and that sets up the middle of the field so much. Thought the tight ends played solid tonight.
Yeah, do we have any stats on those guys? I know Warren had did he have a touchdown or dropped one? But Castles definitely did.
Yeah, they both had. I just read them. 3 catches. Jacob Warren, 3 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. McAllen Castles, 3 catches, 47 yards and a touchdown. And how about Hunter Salmon? Walk on,
yes.
two catches for 21 yards.
Yeah. It felt like there was more than that, but just in general, this is a non-expert's glance at the difference between the 2 quarterbacks, but I think you could say that both of them are kind of calm, and laid back, I guess you'd say. But I think there's a difference between being a little bit laid back or almost too laid back. You can make the argument that Joe might be a little bit too laid back at times when it takes too long to make those decisions. And it just felt like there was a confidence and comfort level there with Nico, where he can kind of just push it side to side and again, mop up doobie, but still, he just made it look a little bit more graceful, like we're used to seeing last year.
I hate this excuse from Seth saying that can't throw it to the middle of the field when your quarterback throws it 100 miles an hour. What about when Nico throws it to Jacob Warren? Nice soft touch pass and it gets dropped. That's such a lame excuse. You're getting paid to play Division I football. Catch the freaking football. I don't like that excuse, Dauber. Don't like it.
Yeah, I was always told if it hits you in the hands, I mean, you're the wide receiver, you're the tight end, you're supposed to be the one. That's why you're not playing cornerback. You're out there to catch the ball, and if it's anywhere around you, you catch it, haul it in. I know Milton's got a little mustard on it sometimes, but we saw Nico. He's got a little zip in his in his arm too. Back to I was going to make one comment on Nico. One thing that I noticed when he did break the pocket and scramble one of the times. One thing that I did notice until his head was still eyes still downfield the entire time, even after he broke the line of scrimmage, but he was still looking downfield to and reading all the different options he had. So that is that's something we've not seen a whole lot at quarterback. Hooker was able to extend plays and continue and find guys downfield, but going back, it's been a while since we've other than Hooker being able to do it sometimes. I think that's going to be something that really, really helps this offense and its flow because he is extending the play, but not just giving up, settling for a run. He's still trying to run the offense. It's not just pocket breaks, pocket collapses, and it's panic scramble. So it's a lot to look forward to, and it's exciting. It is exciting to see that talent, and just a small little glimpse. I know I've seen a bunch of people saying, "Oh, well, we're not invested in Nico. He only played a couple series, and then he threw Gaston Moore out there. Why didn't?" It's Vanderbilt.
I like that. I was hoping Gaston Moore was going to throw a touchdown, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like, throw it on fourth down. Who cares?
Well, the one play that kind of was like, oh man, they could have kept it going was the 4th and 3. I thought they probably should have gone for it there, but that's again, this is all mop up duty, and like you said, Dauber, it's it's Nico's, small sample size, right? But, his willingness to run seems to come quicker. It's a 1, 2, 3 and go rather than 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. I mean, there's just a quicker decision to hit that pocket and roll out. And that's one thing I saw in a lot of games with Joe this year. There's times he could have ran sooner, or it's like a one-track mind situation. Either he's looking way downfield, and if there's nothing there, he's kind of lost and it's too late, or there's plenty of room to run. So I like seeing that from Nico. It looked a little bit more smooth.
Let me catch up on Super Chats real quick. Paul Lindsay for $5 says, put it in the jar. Boogie, love you, bro, and thankful you let me hang around GBO. I'm glad all you guys choose us, man. You can go anywhere you want to go and listen to post-game shows or breakdowns. You come listen to a bunch of fans sit around and talk, and man, sometimes we get emotional. It's a beautiful thing. I love this channel. I love this community. So grateful that you're a part of it. Justin Tolick drops $20. Doesn't say a word. Just says, here's a tip in the tip jar. It's the final post-game show of the regular season. Why not throw in a 20? Justin, thank you. We appreciate that. Coach Rice is in the chat. Drops a $2 super chat. Says 8-4 with how bad we played this year. I'll take it. Man, it felt like we limped through 2023. Looking ahead to 2024. Donovan drops an $8 super chat. Says, I'm glad Joe played well. This is for Coach Jay. Damn it, I'm glad Gaston got to go in, but he'll let Nico score. Hashtag it's showtime 2024. Nico GOAT. By the way, my brother, I don't know if he's still in the chat, came over last night for Thanksgiving, and he brought my little guy. Like I drive a Jeep, so you got the ducks, right? And so the little guy likes to collect them. My daughter likes to collect them. Got all these stupid ducks in the Jeep. He brings over a rubber ducky that's black with the 8 on it, like a magic 8 ball. he just handed it to him and said, "Cultivate." I was like, all right, I see what
That's
we're
awesome.
doing here. Let's roll with it. Let's roll with it. Coach Rice for another 2. Let's all cultivate. Speaking of cultivate, Gator Bowl hashtag 2024 college football playoff GBO. If you guys are in the chat and you're going, what are they talking about? Cult of 8. This cult got divided. We're not a family around here. We are a cult. Well, if you represent the cult of 8, that would be the number 8. Instead of the cult of 7, you can go pick up a T-shirt or a hoodie, long sleeve T-shirt, whatever you want. Go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. I love this design. It looks like graffiti almost to me. It's perfect for a cult shirt. So go pick up your Cult of 8 shirt. You can get it, again, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is also in the description below. You can get a more clean shirt, a Talkin VAWLS letter shirt if you love those letters outside of Neyland Stadium. We got more offensive shirts like FUGA, Gator Hater, whatever you want. Buck Fama, it's there. Boogie Dauber. We got an election coming up. I don't know if you guys realize there's an election in 2024, and there's only one vote, and that vote is Boogie and Dauber in 2024. But go check them out. All the merchandise is there. Again, link in the description. Also want to shout out to members of the channel, man. As we wind down the season, the memberships always fall off. I want to encourage you to continue to support this channel that is for the fans, by the fans. I'm committed to bringing you guys content all off season long. Cannot do it without your support. So consider hitting that join button down below. You can become a part of the family for just $1 a month. We would greatly appreciate it. We're going to go back to the watch parties. That's something we do in the off season. We're going to be doing our first one next Saturday, FCC championship game. If you're a part of the watch party tier, you get to come on and hang out and watch the game. We're going to watch the SEC championship game together. You guys get to be on just like a fan call-in show if you're at that level. If not, you can just come hang out in the chat. It's a lot of fun. Appreciate the way you guys support us. That's right. Go Vols drops a $5 super chat. Says, how about NC State Clown on Twitter? Graveyard coming. That's right. Go Vols. Man, that dude, oh, man. I love when somebody always drops into my timeline. I'm like, why are you commenting on my stuff? You don't follow me. You don't follow Talkin VAWLS, but the internet is full of idiots. That's right. Go Vols for 2 says, looks like Nico stares down his intended receiver.
I thought he looked kind of preemptive. I thought it was kind of just, he kind of knew which direction he was going. I thought he looked confident. I mean, you could say the same thing for Joe too, but when there's playing routes, I think there's maybe 2 depending on the formation, there's probably at least 2 options on one side and then maybe one over, and then maybe the tight end or running back if they're in the mix. But I didn't really catch that as much. I mean, if you completed the pass, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it was all bubble flat, out flat posts. So really those reads were taking place in the moments before. We didn't have any of the plays ran for Nico where you kind of want to use your eyes to move the defense around. So I guess I would semi-agree, but also appropriate for what he was doing.
And somebody put in the chat, you put Nico in, why not change the offense? We had a game plan.
Oh, Nico ran Joe's offense.
Right.
Yeah.
You had a game plan going into the Vanderbilt game. That's what Joe was practicing. That's what Nico was practicing. You're not all of a sudden going to say, okay, we're up, Nico's in, let's air it out, we're going to change. No, you're still going to run the game plan. That's why you're seeing those quick throws, those eyeing your receiver. I know where I'm going because that's what the offense is. Robbie S for 2 says, Boogie Urban Dictionary has a word. Yeah, I put it in the chat. Insuperior means to be less superior as opposed to be to another being or thing. This is a correct term. Inferior is something that was made up ages ago and is not a real word. That is directly from the Urban Dictionary. That describes my life in a nutshell. I just make stuff up. Man, I wonder how many times you guys listen to my videos and go, man, what an idiot. Did you hear the word he just made up? It's all right. It's all right.
We
That's
know
what
what you
happens.
mean.
It's the internet, brother. It's the internet. I never pretended to be smart. Scotty Hurley for 5. Joe might be a second-day pick. Draft buzz will be much higher than you think. 100% expect him to opt out, get a month of practices with Nico as the guy. I saw somebody in the chat saying there's no way that Joe will ever go pro. Somebody's going to think they can fix him, just like a damaged relationship. Some chick sees a dude that beats his wife and drinks and takes pills and everything else. I can fix him, right? Same thing with Joe and a GM. Noah James, I'm off the rails tonight. Noah James, been a member for 12 months. Appreciate that. I'm happy we won the game. Good way to end the season. Tom drops a $5 super chat. Nothing to say, just a tip in the tip jar. We appreciate that, Tom. T-Bird sign shot for 15. My wife watched Nico play one series and said, y'all are stupid for not playing him all year. Like I had control of it.
They didn't listen to us.
Yeah, she clearly felt the same as the Vandy coach, announcer, Go Vols. No, hashtag no Music City Bowl. Yeah, I hope we end up in Florida, not the Music City Bowl, not the Liberty Bowl. That's right, Go Vols for 2. Didn't like us keeping the same offense with Nico. Did he put that twice? Elijah Allen for 5. Love seeing Nico get a little physical throwing a guy off. I like that too. Donovan for 5. Joe reminds me of Russell Westbrook. Some good, mostly bad. Nico reminds me of Steph Curry. A lot of wow plays. God, Steph Curry, best shooter in the history of the game, probably. Scotty Hurley for 5. Nico has a real pocket presence and manipulates the defense well and looks so natural. He throws with great anticipation. Those are qualities Joe didn't show. Wayne's in the house, drops a $10 super chat. Appreciate that, Wayne. Go Vols, great farewell game for Joe. Hope we get Nico starting for the bowl game and Joe opts out for the draft GBO. That's what we all feel, right? Like it was nice to see Joe go out on a nice note, and now it's the kids' turn. It's time to move to the future. B. Kells, member for 14 months. Appreciate that support. Nico looking great, loaded at the edge position. Wideouts will be better next year. We developed these linebackers, get a transfer DB and O-line, and the sky is the limit. Ardor Wolf for 2 says, Go Vols. Appreciate that, brother. T-Bird Sign Shop, been a member for 3 months. Appreciate that support. All right, we're caught up on Super Chats. Man, talking about the young guys, Ricky Gibson played a lot of football today. A lot. It wasn't mob-up duty. It was maybe
Real
second,
football.
third series. Yeah, he played some real football. I'm excited about him. I'm excited about Jeremiah T-Lander. He's still making freshman mistakes. He played a ton of football today. Did any other young guys stick out to you, Coach? Or those the two? Those were the two that stood out to me.
Ricky Gibson is in gigantic letters all over my notes. In particularly loved when they went back to the jet sweep reverse that they scored on at the opening the game, and they had tried to crack back him with a wide receiver, and he absolutely crap cans him and makes the tackle. I mean, it was 8 yards downfield, but I mean, that's just kind of where he was coming back from because he was in outside deep coverage. But Ricky Gibson is going to be a problem out there. I know everyone keeps putting Nico as a problem, and yeah, Nico will be a problem, but Ricky Gibson about to be a problem too. Kid is fast. He does his job is the other thing. They didn't really call the person that he was guarding a lot of the game. We didn't really ever hear that, that number, like Gibson was beat by his man. 1 or 2 times his man did get open, but they were both on switch off plays where Turrentine was the man who took over coverage and then got beat. So I thought Gibson played an absolutely brilliant game. I thought a couple of young guys did. I thought T-Lander in particularly played well. Also Boogie, I thought he played really well in the backside wash, kind of getting inside, getting deep enough, and then shooting that backside gap on counter plays. He did a great job in that and was good against pass pro as well.
And real quick, I got a question just for you, Coach, if you can explain for those that may not understand, including myself. I feel like a lot of times some of our deficiencies are on the edges. Can you explain why or why not they don't have a guy going in motion with the man in motion on those kind of things?
Yeah, well, so of course. So it's basically because whenever you see someone follow someone directly in motion, so if I'm on, the top side of the screen and my guy goes in motion and I follow him all the way down to the bottom side of the screen, it's because you're in man coverage, right? That's a telltale way. It's why a lot of teams use motion nowadays, including Tennessee, is because it's a easy way to identify what coverage a team is in. Banks likes to run zone against motion. He just does. They'll even check into it at times. And we have not gotten better. I agree with you, Dustin, about, guarding those edges. We've been as susceptible on the edges at the first, second, and third level of the defense. I like things Roman Harrison does. He has not been good at containing the edge this year. at all. He's been really a weak point for this defense at containing the edge. He's great when you need him to get after the quarterback, or play against the middle run. But when you really attack that edge and press him in, he doesn't do a great job of squeezing, and he doesn't do a great job of staying at home. So that's been a problem of not just his, but a lot of guys. Some of them I'll go ahead and chalk it up to youth. I think Josephs and Pierce, though, have gotten better against the run. And the hardest thing to defend is an edge player. It is the edge. I know it kind of sounds weird, like it shouldn't be that way, but the easiest thing to do is just pin your ears back, right, and go kill the quarterback on an obvious passing down. After that, it's kind of, holding your position, holding your gap, and maintaining that edge, and then finally getting penetration and squeezing down that edge is kind of the last piece to that puzzle. So we'll see if those young guys can take that next step. Pierce was a MFer tonight, man. An absolute MFer. If that kid takes a step forward, I would not want to be an opposing offensive coordinator trying to figure it out, because that kid is going to be an absolute nightmare if he gets 2%.
It's like he's shot out of a cannon.
Yeah,
sometimes,
if he gets 2% better, he is going to be a major, major problem for people.
Yeah, and I know, Dauber, this is always a big thing for you, and I still noticed it a little bit tonight, is defending the middle of the field. What'd you see?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that has been an issue for this team, and teams have exploited it. And I think it is in part to, like Coach Jay just said, we tend to fall into a zone a lot of times, and teams will find that soft spot and just kind of sit in it, and they run a lot of kind of pick plays and stuff towards that soft middle of the field, and I don't know if it's lack of having that kind of stud linebacker in the middle, or what, but it's something that it tends to get picked on. So, we talked about Wednesday, in the Wednesday show, what we'd like to see, and it's been a good long while since we've had that dude, lining up in the middle of the defense that's just going to kind of shut that part of the field down. Going back to like a Leonard Little, or just a guy that's gonna, you come across that middle, you're gonna get hit. It's an issue that can be fixed, especially with the transfer portal. You're going to have opportunity to bring some guys in to fill holes, and that's something that this staff has done very, very well. They've hit some home runs with the transfer portal. This year was, not as good in terms of production, but I think I would love to see, depending on how things play out, and who ends up returning with their COVID year, extra year, whatever, and go and hit the portal for those kind of couple of things that hold us back. I think a lockdown guy on the edge would be a big piece, and then somebody, a linebacker in the middle. We were talking about young guys on the defensive side of the ball. How about Nimrod and Webb stepping up in the wide receiver room? I think that's a really exciting thing to see. It's 2 years in a row we've had kind of our top guy go down, and guys have stepped up. Last year we had Tillman go down, and we're like, oh, what's going to happen? And then Hyatt steps up. This year, it wasn't quite as significant with what those young guys did and how they impacted the game, but they got a lot of run time, and they showed some flashes of stuff, and that's exciting, especially when you think about what the offense is going to look like next year. And we may get back to video game numbers and scoring points like crazy that we had a couple years ago.
Let me hit this super chat to piggyback on what Dauber's saying, because Trey drops $5 and says, glad to see Keaton have an almost epic game. Nico reads and processes on a pro level pickup, O-line in the offseason. Hope Mays is all right. Thank you, Trey, for the $5 super chat. But the reason why I want to bring that up is because it's kind of like the Joe and Nico thing, right? It was nice. It was nice to see Joe go out there, ball out, 6 total touchdowns, send him out on a high note, and then get excited about 2024. You look at the wide receiver room. It was fun to see Ramel Keaton go out there and have 4 catches, 122 yards and 2 touchdowns, almost hauled in 3. Like I almost wanted to criticize him and be like, why did you not lay out? But the game's over, and I'm kind of like, but man, that if you're a competitor, you lay out and you catch that football. It was a little overthrown. It was off your fingertips. I want him to have that. A dog lays out. Like, they don't care if they're playing backyard football in the street. They lay out. They don't care if it's a 45-point game. They lay out. It doesn't matter. Dogs never look at the scoreboard. I wish he would have laid out there, but it was nice to see Ramel have a good game. Squirrel White, 10 catches, 110 yards. Come on, Squirrel 8. But then, like Dauber said, it's awesome to see Chaz Nimrod get 4 catches, Caleb Webb 3 catches, 2 guys that are starting to come along, and it excites you about the future, especially when you look at the class of 24 coming in. Mike Matthews is a dude that could compete and play from day one. Braylon Staley, don't sleep on Braylon Staley. He may not have a 5th star. That kid's a stud. He's got his head on his shoulders, comes from a great family. I'm excited about Braylon Staley as well.
The thing is, Boogie, we probably wouldn't have seen a whole lot of Nimrod and Webb.
Nope.
Had Brew not gone down. So
and then Thornton too.
Yeah, and Thornton too. So it's good to see you've got that depth, and you've got guys that can come in and find that success that you can rely on. And I'll leave it at that. I won't dissect the passing game any more than we already have in the first 45 minutes of this show, and all season for that matter.
You know what's weird, though? You went out and beat the absolute piss out of Vanderbilt, and, like, getting ready to go live, I'm like, we could do a 3-hour show tonight. The last 2 weeks were unbearable. It's like, I don't even want to do this for 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, that's the first time in 3 games that you scored in the second half. So
I'll talk about that.
It's one of those things.
Yeah, I think
wait. Go ahead, Dustin. Go ahead.
I was just say real quick. I mean, I think it's in a perfect world, if Brew gets back healthy and he elects to stay, if Thornton comes back, and then you've got the other two new guys in the mix already, and having a full offseason with Squirrel, and is Keaton a senior, or is he able to come
He's
back?
a senior.
Keaton's gone. Thornton's coming back 100%. There's no way he's leaving. No way. I cannot imagine.
If 5 out of the 6 or 4 out of the 5 stay and have a full off season with Nico to gel and get healthy and gain some weight and all those kind of things, it could be nice next year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought when he played in limited time before too, I thought Nimrod and Webb both had good chemistry, natural chemistry with Nico. So you always want to look for that natural chemistry that receivers can have with quarterbacks. It kind of can jump off the page at times. I think Milton kind of had a better natural chemistry with Squirrel than anyone else, but I'll kind of die on that fence post that Squirrel is awesome. He's great, and he can make the NFL in this role, but I think he's more of a Robin than a Batman, and that's okay. You can make the NFL and be a damn good Robin in the NFL. And I think Squirrel can fit that role. I think Squirrel's been in a little bit of a sophomore slump this season. And you know what? If that in fact is true, then he's one hell of a football player. Because if that's his slump year, then, that's a good problem to have. I feel remiss, though, like Dauber was touching on. We've talked about this passing game a lot. And dang it, I think it bears the old tip of the cap and the old Rocky Top salute to one Jalen Wright for breaking 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was just about to segue into the running game, but I thought overall, we didn't have the explosive plays that maybe we expected, but I think it was just enough to open up. And I don't know what the game plan was, but it almost looked like for both quarterbacks they were kind of putting some emphasis on the throwing game this time around.
Was the game plan to let Joe go ball out against Vanderbilt in his final game?
Yeah, definitely.
Getting that NFL tape.
That was the game plan. But let's give a Rocky Top salute to one Jalen Wright on his 1,000-yard season.
Rocky Top!
I loved it, man. And I was like people kind of jumped on me a little bit. They're like, oh, they're stacking the box, they're doing it. I don't care. I don't freaking care. Get Jalen Wright to 1,000 yards. I don't know why that's so important to me. Is that do you guys think that that's a big recruiting thing? And then talking about the game plan for Joe throwing the football, I saw some people on Twitter saying, hey, they're trying to pad Joe's stats. Actually, it wasn't on Twitter. It was one Jonathan Crompton in his halftime show saying that they're trying to pad stats for recruiting purposes, to say, look at the numbers that Joe put up because he finally went out and he balled out and he threw for almost 400 yards. But that felt like the game plan to me, was send Joe out on a high note, and you got Jalen Wright his 1,000 yards. Coach, you said you do think it is important in recruiting. Expand on that.
I do think it's important to have something you can go in there and sell and point at, just like with Joe in the passing, to be able to go and walk into a 5-star recruits class and say, hey, look, we grabbed this kid. He's not a 5-star. He might not have had your base level of talent, but look what look at what we morphed him into. And by the way, it's in an offense that's kind of primarily thought of as a passing offense. Well, guess what? It's not. We can run the ball too. I think it's really valuable. I think this coaching staff has had really high evaluations at the running back position, so I'm not that worried about it. But we've still yet to land that, that true 5-star, elite running back prospect. So I think it gives you something to, walk into that kid's room with and sell.
Yeah, what do you guys think the conversation will be like with Jalen Wright? Is it one of the things like, it's been great, you hit your milestone, is he gone, or
he gone?
Okay.
To me, the conversation is, does Jabari Small come back?
Right.
That's the question. Does he think he's going to get past, and it's going to be Dylan Sampson 1, Cam Seldon 2, Jabari Small 3? And if that's the case, I think Josh Heupel sits down and I think he's honest with kids. I think that's something that he's done since he arrived here. And if that's going to be the case, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jabari Small transfer down, because he's got that COVID year, got 1 year of eligibility left. If I was his coach, I wouldn't want him to come here and not get a fair shake, right? It's like, at the same time, as a fan, I would love to have Dylan Sampson, Jabari Small, and Cam Seldon as my 3-headed monster next year.
Yeah, and Dauber, Sampson's a sophomore, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So he worries me a little bit as far as the portal goes. I know that he kind of griped a little bit earlier in the season about not getting enough touches, and he might be right. I don't know. There's a quickness to his game and a little bit of explosiveness. He's not, I don't think that he should have been the number 1 guy, but is that something that Heupel needs to consider moving forward, Dauber?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have guys that are dogs, guys that are want to play. They want the ball. That's who you want in your running back room, and to try to keep 2 or 3 of those guys happy, that's a hard thing to do. Even an offense like this that wants to run, I guess with the clock rules and stuff, it's not quite 90 plays or whatever now. It's kind of shifted down, but there are only so many touches in a game, and the staff tends to lean towards the hot hand, so if somebody's having a game, they'll ride them. But what I've noticed is, to me, you see all these guys, they've played pretty unselfishly all year. You saw that, I guess, Sampson was the beneficiary of a lot of garbage touchdowns, that you had Wright and Small doing all the heavy lifting and getting them down to the field, and Sampson benefited with a 2-yard touchdown run. So it's, you constantly saw the guys tapping their head, pull me out, get somebody else in. So they're not, to me, it didn't seem like they were worried about, I need to stay out here to get my carries. And if they needed a breather, they were like, yeah, bring in the next guy because I know he's just as good. So,
Although don't forget Samson's Instagram post of being a caged cheetah. That's
but
Yeah, well,
he had gotten so few carries at that point.
Yeah, and if you think back to the Kentucky game, I think it was that last drive or so,
Samson won that football game.
They really leaned on him, and he made it happen. So that's just a caveat, throwing it out there, because it's hard to determine what the running back room would look like. I think we have a little bit. I think if we were to bet money, we could probably guess more so correctly with the wide receivers right now than we could the running backs. I don't know what you think for next year.
But what's better with the running back room, right? Let's play coach instead of selfish me, feed me. I want 25 carries a game. I want to be the Missouri kid. Let me run the football 35 times. As a coach, Coach Jay, you got 3 running backs, and you kind of you have the opportunity to go with the hot hand. You've got Jalen Wright, and that Kentucky game is a perfect example because when that game, it was late in the game, Kentucky was gassed. You put Dylan Sampson in, he's got fresh legs. You can't sign me up for that every single year. Give me 3 solid running backs and let me split the carries. And I know I understand. Like I've heard Kaner talking about Jalen Wright. Imagine if he was getting 20 carries a game. Imagine if he was. He probably wouldn't be averaging, what is it, like 7.5 yards per carry? Like having that running back room and rotating carries is picture perfect for an offensive coach.
Strategy.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's something you want to see this. You want to see this coaching staff continue. And spoiler alert, I think we are going to continue it. I mean, look at the running back room right now. You got Khalifa, right? You got Cam Seldon. And guess what? I believe Deshaun Bishop was kind of the shocker of the whole class, if you recall back to spring from everything we were hearing before he hurt himself. So, yeah, I think it's something Heupel wants to continue. I think it's something this coaching staff likes having in their back pocket, not having to be married just to one back. Any back can get hurt. Right. Yeah. We know that from the NFL. It's a tough position to stay healthy at. So you want multiple weapons. We've got a really, really good burner with a lot of physical skills coming in this new class as well. So to go back to your original point, Dustin, Deshaun Bishop, Khalif, Cam Seldon, Small, Dylan Sampson, I think you do see maybe a transfer. I don't know who that is. I don't want to say it's Dylan Sampson, but I think you see a transfer in the running back room after spring ball. I don't know who that is, but I think you might see one.
Yeah, and back up to you, Boogie, and you can move on to the next subject. But, I think with this offense in general, like I don't know that it's physically possible to do 3 series in a row. And so you almost have to be unselfish in the running back room because, like Dauber said, those guys tapping their head left and right after a couple of first downs.
Yeah, Jalen Wright particularly, right? He's always out there. Get me out of here. And it's like that's the guy you're saying that you want to get more carries, but he's always tapping that helmet. Go ahead, Coach.
Right, but when you get in that room, or when the other coach is going, "Hey, running back, you don't want to go to Tennessee. You go to Tennessee, you're not going to be the featured back. You're going to be one of 3 running backs. Now is Tennessee, you can go, well, what are you talking about? We just had a 1,000-yard running back. You can get it done here. You absolutely can get it done here, and you can get drafted, and you can play at a high level. Sell.
Yeah, and realistically, let's be honest, everybody kind of ate this year at some point in time or another.
Yeah, let me catch up on Super Chats real quick. Captain Woodland for 5 says 8-4, but 11-1 next year. Love the show all season, guys. Been here since the last year of Butch. I'll continue to be here to support y'all, GBO. Appreciate that, Captain Woodland. Todd Hurley been a member for, holy smokes, 29 months. That is a long time. We appreciate that support, Todd. Johnny Vols for 5 says Milton will be a first-round draft pick for State Farm. Joe, the insurance salesman, he ain't no pro. Well, no disrespect to people that work at State Farm, although I got a bone to pick with them. Don't make me go to Twitter and get after y'all. But hey, man, Joe's going to get drafted. I fully believe that. Hank for $2 says had an amazing time. Voice gone now at Gus's Chicken. Well, enjoy. Hope you enjoyed the game. Coach Rice for $5. We so need to do a video, way too early depth chart outlook for 2024 the next couple of weeks. Hashtag 2024, hashtag 1. Don't forget that. Somebody put that in the chat, said that we need to do a live stream, and Coach Jay lay out the depth chart for defense, Coach Rice lay out the depth chart for offense, and I will be the moderator and be the clown that yells and screams into the microphone and says smash the thumbs up and share out the link and all that fun stuff, because that's what I do here on YouTube. I surround myself with people that know more than me, and that's how you find success. But that sounds like a fun live stream. I don't know if we should do it this soon or if we should do it, I don't know, maybe before spring camp. I don't know. But I like that idea. That sounds like a fun idea. Donovan for 2 says 56-7 and on the hot seat by fans. Sucks to be Ryan Day. Yeah, if you're going to go coach at Ohio State, the only team you play is Michigan, so you better beat them. Samuel Reiner, Custom Knives, says Tyree West looked good, fast, GBO. He's played a lot of football this year, too. Scotty Hurley for 2 says we sure put good film up to recruit tight ends today. I wish they would have done it more throughout the year. Ron the Don, member for 13 months, the man, the myth, the legend. Feels like 98, Ron. Says, oh, my gosh, I just found out this. Lord, I'm so nuts. Who knew? Who knew? GBO, Nico cometh. I love you, Ron. Dylan for 5. Ramel 100% let up on that deep ball. He was jogging the last 15 yards. The ambassador, Trey, drops $20. Says the clip. We are closer to 98 than ever now, boys. I retired the clip, but Trey's the man, so I'll play it for him.
Rocky Top!
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate the super chat, brother. Timothy McGee for 5 says, hey, it looked like they used more tight ends, like I've been saying all season. Also, they ran more timing routes tonight. Love you, Timothy. Culberson for 8 says, far too early record predictions for next year. I've got the schedule pulled up. You play Chattanooga. You play NC State, Kent State, UTEP. Is this right? Are the first 4 games Chattanooga, NC State, Kent State, and UTEP? Well, you're 4-0 right there. At Arkansas, 5-0. At Georgia, 5-1. At Oklahoma, 6-1. At Alabama at home, I'm going on record 7-1. Gators at home 8-1. Kentucky 9-1. Mississippi State 10-1. Vanderbilt, I'm going 11-1. You said way too early, so I'm going nuts with it. Dauber, what do you say? When do you need me to read it again, or do you got it?
I like what you said there.
Did you say
Oklahoma? Oklahoma might be a tough one on the road.
That's a toss-up. This is way too early. I can go nuts with it.
Yeah, that's
Alabama at home. Called that a win. Florida at home. Called that a win.
Yep. Chalk it up. It's super clear right now, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it after the Missouri game, and kind of compared it to how deflating it was to South Carolina last year. And I think that is where we need to take a step as a program. You know, if we manage to beat, Florida and or Georgia and or Alabama, we can't drop it to the little brothers anymore. That's the next step for us. We can't lose to Kentucky or Missouri or South Carolina, et cetera. I think, so hopefully, with getting some guys back, hitting the transfer portal hard, that'll be a clearer path and know what we're working with next year.
So what's your way too early prediction?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. 11-1.
Like if I was really making a prediction, I would probably say I would have to really think about it and go between 9-3, 10-2.
Yeah.
My BS prediction is 11-1.
Yeah. Well, Boogie, that NC State's a trap game. So you got to watch out because it's a trap game.
Sandwiched in between Chattanooga and Kent State.
Actually,
I'd watch Kent State. That's a tough one.
Yeah. In fairness, NC State, I think they're like 8-3 right now. They're a decent ACC team. But I definitely think we get them. I know it's on a neutral field, but I'm guessing Vol fans show up and show out, even though that's a semi home game for them. Arkansas, at Arkansas we win. At Georgia, I'd have to look closer at their roster. You would think it's a tough game for us, but I'd have to look closely at what they have coming back. I know they are loaded to the brim, but you never know how people are going to pan out, who's staying and who's going there.
Yeah.
You have a couple early exit classes, then who knows? At Oklahoma's been really good this year. I know they're losing a quarterback with a ton of experience under their belt, so we'll see what kind of position they are at the quarterback position. But I like our odds for a little bit of revenge there. I like our odds at home against Bama, against a young quarterback. I'll take us in that game. I'll take us against Florida as well, Kentucky as well, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. So I'm going to go, worst case scenario 8-3, best case scenario undefeated next year. I really think all those are valid choices.
So he's on that X Factor math. He's like 8-3. Well, what about the 12th game, Coach? What's going to happen in that one? Is it a tie? Like
sneaky.
It's been a long day.
Man, we were laughing at X Factor last night at Thanksgiving.
I was
dinner.
laughing at him is what screwed
I'm
up.
like,
And
X
now
Factor
I'm
does
above
that
the joke.
Steiner math. Like he's like, well, if we win this week, we got a chance to win 9
We can win
games.
11.
But if we don't, we're probably going to end up at 11-3. So I'm like, I love you, X. You got that Steiner math. Jenny pointed out in the chat that it's the non-conference games are scheduled. So you can see August 31st, September 7th, September 14th, November 23rd. So the SEC games have to be slated in. So we'll see how the schedule actually plays
So that's
out.
not necessarily the order.
Right. Yeah, UTEP's going to be later in the season. So
Okay,
you're going to open with Chattanooga, NC State, Kent State. And then I would imagine you'll probably play Florida next, if I was guessing.
Yeah,
But
I
who
would
knows?
think so.
Yeah.
If you looked at that was a tough 5-game stretch right there.
Yeah, it was a tough block.
Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be shaken. That'll be shaken up.
And are those variables determined by whether we do the permanent opponent thing? Is that what is the determining factor, or is that on down the road?
I think
I don't
that's
know.
the
I have
season
no idea.
after, right? I
Okay.
think
Oh,
this
is
year
it?
is just kind of I think this year is kind of standing on its own, and then the year after they're going to go
Okay.
to the
Yeah, so
whatever the
2024
permanent,
2024 will still have Atlanta, still have the SEC championship, right?
right?
Yeah, okay.
But not the
but
12-team playoff yet. That's the following year as well, right?
No, I think that's
That's
2024, isn't it?
2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got the
Yes.
you got the new teams.
There's no Eastern or
Right.
There's no division.
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay.
Mm.
We clearly have no idea what's going on. All we care
It's
about
confusing.
all we care about is
confusing.
Tennessee football. That's all I
Yeah.
care about. I don't care about what's going on everywhere else. I just care about Tennessee. Let me catch up. Timothy's for $2 says put all 3 of them on the field. Go Wishbone.
Sure.
Timothy needs to show up on Tuesday nights. I may run some Wishbone on Tuesday night, 6:30, NCAA stream just for Timothy. This guy's been a member for 35 months. I love the guys that pay me, and you're on the show. Shout out, Dauber. Appreciate that. Mikey McMahon been a member for 12 months. Says cultivate. Boogie, go Vols. I love you guys that are in the cult. Tucker White for Tucker White 94, not for 94. For 5 says, for what it's worth, Tennessee went the entire season ranked for the first time since 2006. Sure, it's not number 1, but it's great progress. Wayne's been a member forever, 27 months. Shout out, Wayne. Hot Rod for 5 says, Heupel did a decent job keeping the youngsters happy. Joe had himself a heck of a game. Can't wait to see what moves Heupel makes in the offseason. The kid has been a member for 29 months. Thank you, Elijah. We appreciate that. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. Final. Let's go to final thoughts. Anything that sticks out to you, Coach Jay? Final thoughts on this season? I kind of keep it to this game, but you can talk season if you want. We'll probably get more into that as the next week or so.
Final thoughts on the season are, obviously we didn't, make it to where we were trying to get to in the end, right? We would have liked to have a little bit of better record. I think we would have liked Joe to play at a little higher level. All of us, I think it would have helped our defense maybe stay a little healthier, but before the year, I always like to think about my thoughts before the year. And I think someone asked me at one point, what do you think all needs to happen for us to, have a year where we only lose 2 games, or a year where we only lose one game. And I kind of thought, well, A, Joe needs to play kind of lights out. He needs to be what we hope him to be. But the other thing is, since we don't have the depth we need yet, we need to stay healthy all year at every position. We're going to need some luck on the health end. We didn't quite get all the luck in that department that we needed. Certainly, I mean, we could talk about a lot of different players with that, like Brew, Kamal Haddon, whoever we want to bring up, right? So to have that magical season before we have the recruiting depth that we need to stay healthy. The same will be true next year, but we'll be a little bit further down that road. And I think we'll be able to, withstand those injury hits just a little bit better as well. Proud of this team, though. Proud of the coaching staff that they were able to adapt to having kind of a different team than they're used to coaching. Putting 1,000-yard rushing up and changing the identity of this team. This team was able to win in different ways. It wasn't always perfect. Don't got to be perfect. You just got to go out there and win, right? So they were able to do that. I think a lot of Volunteer fans act like we went 4-8, not 8-4. So keep that head up, proud. Like someone just mentioned, we were ranked every single week this season. That's something to be proud of. Tennessee football is back to being relevant, and we're going to stay there for a long dang time. So I'm really proud of that as well, and really excited for what this Tennessee team is going to do next season, though. So another one in the books, another Heupel season in the books. I think another successful Heupel season in the books as well. So let's keep building on it. Let's keep getting better. Let's get the depth that we need, and let's go win us a championship sooner or later, guys.
Always depressing. Like you mentioned, some people in this fan base feel like we're 4-8 instead of 8-4, and it's like you can see it by numbers, right? And like, less than 400 people hanging out on a post-game show, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's my job, so it's like, oh, well, you just want everybody here so you make money. Yeah, of course I do. That's what pays the bills. But on the flip side, it's like everybody that's here right now, everybody that was here for the morning video, everybody that was here for the tailgate show, you're the diehards, man. You're the elite. You're an hour and 15 minutes into a live stream of four dudes that are just like you, just diehard Tennessee fans. Like you're here for it. Like I've told the story multiple times of JP when Tennessee wasn't even going to a bowl game. They had no shot at a bowl game, and the Vanderbilt game wasn't on cable. And JP freaked out. His girlfriend's calling my wife. He's on the phone with the cable company, yelling and cussing and screaming because he bleeds orange. And I laughed in the tailgate show because he texted me a picture of him and his girlfriend and said, we're going in here to boo Joe Milton out of the stadium on senior day. And I told him, I said, stop being an asshole, JP. And he was like, I'm kidding. I bleed orange. And it was less than 30 minutes later, he said it's time to fire Tim Banks. But I love JP anyway for that. But final thoughts, Dustin, on this game, this season so far. We got a lot of more coming your way. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I agree with what Coach said. The injury bug was not good to us. Maybe the blessing in disguise means that some of those guys will make the decision to come back and help us with depth because, we're going to continue to need that as the younger guys develop. But overall, it wasn't a pretty 8-4, but it's an 8-4 that we should be proud of. And as an overall whole, I mean, it really could have tanked a lot worse. It may have felt better if some of those games that we lost were closer. But like you said, it's, hindsight's 2020 and you can't really go back and do a do-over. So we got to just take our lumps and use it to our advantage. And hopefully, with the changes and offensive coordinator and learning curve there to hopefully, they learn some things along the way, what not to do, what to do moving forward. But the future is bright. I mean, we haven't seen as much of Nico and stuff like that as we may have liked to this season, but what we have seen, I think, looks really good, and it's going to be fun to watch. I think the biggest thing is to get to a decent bowl game and win that game. I think it's going to be important to win that game. It's always, I know this is the last game of the regular season, and it feels like a whole year before they play the bowl game, but it really because I remember being at that Purdue game here in Nashville and just being like, oh my God, here we go again. The nightmares are just continuing. And then they had a great season after that, you know what I mean? And then, it was so nice to beat a, elite program like Clemson that had been on top for so long. So I just hope we, continue to push the ball forward and, the sky's the limit for sure.
What's funny when just looking back at the season, Missouri's way better than any of us thought. I don't even know if I included Missouri in my toss-ups. I included a lot of teams in toss-ups. Kentucky was in there. Florida was in there. Texas A&M was in there. There were a lot of teams in there. You can almost chalk this entire season up to if Missouri wasn't as good as they are, and they're a pretty dang good football team this year, Florida, right? Florida did what they always do to us. We lost a game to Florida that we shouldn't have. Everything else kind of played out exactly as we expected. That almost summarizes this season. So there's a little disappointment there because of the way you got embarrassed by Missouri and Georgia in back-to-back weeks. And I think that's why so many fans have checked out. That's why they're out mowing their yard or Christmas shopping, holding their wife's purse, whatever they're doing today. That's why that happened, is because of that Missouri game. Dauber, tie a bow on it for us, brother. Send us home, send us out the door, and then I'll catch up on Super Chats.
Listen, I'll say this: three of the 4 games that this team dropped were on the road. I'll say this until I am, in the ground, no longer watching football. You go on the road in conference, it's going to be a tough game. I don't care who it is. You get in these rivalry games. I said it at the top of the show. We went out tonight. We took care of Vanderbilt. It's going to be a tough, scrappy game because it's always chippy against a rival. You look at right now, halftime, Florida State, 10-7, I think. Or no, 12-7. Florida is up on Florida State.
I hope Florida State wins that game.
Alabama.
I want Florida and South Carolina to be sitting at home when it's all said and done.
Alabama got all they wanted from Auburn in a rivalry game. Auburn that lost to New Mexico State last week and got whipped on both sides of the ball. Kentucky beat a top 10 ranked Louisville. Rivalry games are, they're tough. Road games in conference are tough. So, going on the road in Gainesville, dropping to a Florida team that is, fighting to be 500 tonight, that's a tough pill to swallow. That's the only one, especially like you said, Missouri. They're 10-2. They're having a hell of a football season, and that game was on the road. We were looking pretty good. I think maybe looking a little bit ahead to Georgia, but we went on the road and didn't take care of business, and that's one of the first things. If we've talked for years on this channel, this team has to go out and play perfect football. We're not at that level anymore. We don't have to go play a perfect game. We don't have to have a quarterback go out and just dominate. We don't have to set the world on fire. This team is now good enough to get by on, you still don't want to go out and play sloppy football and have penalties and mistakes and give teams extra chances or opportunities, because that's what loses you ball games too. Even good teams, when they give another team an additional chance, that hurts. But this team has progressed. This team, flipped the switch last year and overachieved, and they've built on it. And they no longer have to go out and play perfect to beat, some of these teams that we should be beating as Tennessee. And they're taking care of business. So for me to wrap this whole season up, this 2023 calendar, it's one game less than most. I think all of us had. I think we were all sitting 9-3 in our predictions. So, you let one drop in Florida that I think we all had pegged as a W. And then just the way you got to 9-3 wasn't necessarily what you thought with the loss to 8-4 with the loss to Florida and the loss to Missouri. I had Kentucky and A&M in there with my ones that I thought could go either way. So I like what I'm seeing with this coaching staff. I like what I'm seeing with this roster. Depending on how things go with those guys that potentially could be back, depending on how this coaching staff attacks the transfer portal, and then these young guys, if the ones that we've seen glimpses of, if they continue to develop and you keep bringing guys back in on their heels that are going to push them and battle and fight for time on the playing field, man, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for the bowl game. The biggest thing about bowl games to me is that opportunity for an extra month of practice.
Mm-hmm.
Because a couple of years ago, when we weren't going to bowl games, when we were, it would have done those teams a world of difference to have that extra month of practice. It's so critical for these younger guys. You look at Nico. Nico came in last year and was able to practice with the team prior to the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to me, it's a good looking future on Rocky Top, and I'm looking forward to it.
Let me hit these last few super chats real quick. Dylan Plowman been a member for 6 months. Appreciate that, brother. Austin Byers member for 5 months. His bowl prediction. I think it's going to be Florida. I don't think it's going to be Music City Bowl. I don't think it's going to be Liberty Bowl. I think it's going to be one of the two Florida bowls. Timothy McGee for 5 says, I do show up on Tuesdays and wishbone on short distance goal line red zone. Well, Timothy, you can call the place for me. You just have to drop the right super chat. Culverson been a member for 20 months. Must get more disciplined. I think Josh Heupel teams are always going to be more penalized, and I think some of that is going fast. But yeah, they got to be more disciplined. Look, hey, don't go anywhere, boys and girls. We got all kinds of fun content coming your way. Again, I'm going to drop the day after video bright and early tomorrow. We're going to do the fan call-in show 7 p.m. tomorrow night. That's where you get to come on and hang out and talk Tennessee football. Also, Monday morning, I'll be live with Kaner at 9 a.m. Tune in for that. We'll recap this game against Vanderbilt. We'll talk about the future. I'll watch Josh Heupel's post-game press conference. Tuesday night, NCAA football. Don't miss it. It's always a good time, always a blast. It causes me to get banned from Facebook, and it's worth it, so come join us for that. Wednesday night, we've not dialed it in yet, but I'm thinking live film breakdown of Jordan Seaton. Not 100% sure yet. We're going to do something different. It's not going to be your regular Wednesday show. As we get closer to the bowl game, things will dial right back up. Friday morning show with Coach Jay, Monday morning show with Kaner, Wednesday show with Dauber. JP never shows up anymore. He never shows up. It's Dauber, it's the X Factor, and it's an alternate, whether that be Coach Rice or whether that be Matt Begley. Tons of content, boys. We're going to cover recruiting, transfer portal. Don't go anywhere. Be right here, dialed in on the Talkin VAWLS Network. If you've never dove into recruiting, I encourage you, go watch the video I dropped yesterday, laying out some elite 5-star prospects that Tennessee is very much in the mix for. I think the class of 25 could be the biggest class that we've seen in a long time. The NCAA investigations are gone. Nico's the quarterback. The future is bright. Go check out that video. Also dropped a video on Cooper Mays. Check that out. But we're going to get out the door, man. Shout out to Coach Jay. I think Dustin has pretty much earned his keep. I think he is the new 4th man on the postgame show. Every week I message him and say, hey, man, you in? Yeah, I'm in. I think this may be the regular 4-man crew moving forward.
You can't BS a BSer, man. So I'll be here. I'll be here, spouting off about nothing, what I think I know. But it's fun regardless.
That's what it's all about. Like, for the fans, by the fans. That's what this is. These two guys are you guys on the right side? You're on my right. Are you on their left? I don't know. Bottom line is, these two guys are here because of the fan call-in show. So think about becoming a member of the channel, jumping on those fan call-ins. Maybe you will find yourself right here on the post-game show. But for the clown below me, man, we've been friends since we were knee-high to a grasshopper, and he will continue to talk Tennessee football
and now
until one of us is dead and gone.
Now I know his real name too. So I've got 2 out of the 3 of you. I know your real name behind the scenes. So,
but why do you know that? Because hashtag Boogie is banned. Free Boogie Bentley.
I wasn't even going to ask. I assumed that you had to get.
Why does everybody think like I'm talking politics or like
No. I think it's
Dare
that old orange temper got the best of you.
It did. It really didn't. It really didn't. Like, it's almost comical to me. I said it in the tailgate show. People can DM me and threaten me, death threats. If you show up at the Tennessee game, I'll bury you in the river. They talk about my mother that's no longer living. All that's perfectly fine on YouTube. But guess what? You play a little music, all of a sudden you're buried underneath the ground. It's like, what? Okay, whatever. Thank you, Facebook. We'll roll on without you because that's what we do here. But anyway, we got to get out the door. For Coach Jay, for Captain D, for Diver, my name's Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive.